Hey guys, welcome back. If you haven't been here before, welcome to the channel. My name's Sandy. This is Sawing with Sandy, and you're standing in front of a place I'm just starting to build, and you can see on the left, just gone through a bit of a storm with it. This is my toy shed slash equipment shed. I'm taking a little break from building this today. Probably not going to put siding on it quite yet, but I do have to come up with a solution for the ramp, so you will see me building that soon. You can see here we have a bit of a step here, so I'm going to be building a ramp from there to there. But I'm not going to do that quite yet today, so come on back when I do that very soon. What I'm doing today is I'm sort of assessing what happened last night. We had a massive storm, and as you can see, all my wood chips and stuff sort of got washed away. And that's okay, because I don't think we lost any big trees, and that's the main thing. I don't have to go out and do any big cleanup. Anyways, aside from that, sort of assessing what the storm brought, I am very fortunate that I got one of my projects off the list here. And what that was fixing my front right tire. This right here is my Kioti tractor, and you guys would have seen in previous videos, I had a front right tire that was going flat, usually in about 24 hours, so it wasn't very convenient. Because if I parked this thing anywhere away from the shop here, well, I had to take an air compressor out to it, and that was getting pretty old pretty quick. So what I did was I took my tire to a local tire shop, and originally I was just going to buy an inner tube off of them. And the inner tube was, I think, $40 Canadian. I don't know if that's good or bad, but it's supposed to be a heavy duty unit. I was going to buy that inner tube off of them. I was going to install it myself. But A, I don't have a tire machine, and B, I don't exactly like wrestling with tires, and so I paid them the extra 30 bucks, and for $77 Canadian with tax, I got a brand new tire. Well, not a brand new tire, brand new inner tube in my tire, and at least it's not going to be leaking on me. So what we're doing today, I'm going to put this on the tractor, then I'm going to go and I'm going to do one of my least favorite jobs, and what that is digging ditches. I'll talk about that in a little bit. Let's have a look at what we're dealing with first and foremost with the tire. You guys can see here, here's my tractor, here's my hub assembly, and we're going to wash all this off first and foremost. And you can see my steering here has a bit of an issue. The boot's been ripped for a long time, but believe it or not, you have to replace, what do you have to replace? You can't just replace the boot. I think it is, at least not from Kioti. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's what the story was. So I am just holding off a little bit, and eventually I'll replace the whole end link there. Anyways, here's the hub unit. We're going to just get rid of some of that rust on the two studs that stay here, and we'll go ahead and wash this off. Once that's done, then we'll put that tire on here, and we got to torque her up, and I think the torque specs 120 foot-pounds, give or take, but we'll check the manual for that. Regardless, glad you guys are all here. This is pretty much what we get up to on a daily basis around here, so why not do it today? Here we go. And it sounds like the storm's coming back in here, so I'm going to get to work. I don't know how long we're going to be at it until that rain hits again, but what's wrong with cleaning it twice, right? Clean it once now, clean it twice when the storm hits. For those of you who are saying I need a pressure washer, I do have one, I just don't have it handy, nor do I want to take the time to set it up at the moment. This stuff's not too bad, so we'll just give it a little garden hose rinse. And considering this tractor is, how old? 9 years old now, going on 10 years old, I think it looks pretty good. Okay, good enough for me. I'm going to grab a steel brush. Okay. Good enough for me. So let's have a look at the manual. And here's the manual for you guys, and you can see there's my tractor, 2012 Kioti DK40, the SC with a hydrostatic transmission. And here we go, front wheel. And it's giving me the units here. That means 17 to 19 kilograms of force per meter. When you sort of convert that over, what that equates to is about 122 foot-pounds. And so that's what I got my torque wrench set to. I'm going to put the wheel in place and then we'll torque her down. And I could drop the tractor down a little bit. It's just kind of difficult to get it perfect. And so I'm just going to pick up the tire here. I think it'll be just as easy for me. There we go. If I was smart, I would have had a nut in my hand. Now, some of you guys are probably saying, put some anti-seize on the threads, and there's sort of conflicting information you're going to get about anti-seize. I often use it on a lot of things, but when I'm talking about wheel nuts, I don't tend to put it on wheel nuts and the threads, because I don't want the torque spec to be changed at all. If you can imagine, we're adding a little bit of a lubricant, and if I torque on that, I don't want the torque spec to be a little bit different than what the manual calls for. Now, don't take my advice on this. That's what I do. You guys, I'd suggest you go and talk to someone who's more knowledgeable than me, and well, that's probably a lot of people. So go and do that before you decide whether you're going to use anti-seize or not. Just so you know, I don't use it, not in this case. Okay, here we go. I'm just using this just to tighten them just a little bit here. Obviously, you wouldn't want to use this in place of proper torque specs. That's all she wrote on that. Come on. Ooh, look at that thing. I think I got to do a bit of my vinegar rust repair on that unit there. What did I say? It's actually 123 that kilograms of force per meter, 17 to 19, converts to about 123 on the low end. So that'll be what we need to do here. And you guys are probably noticing I'm sweating profusely here. I don't have any underlying medical condition, knock on wood, but it is hotter than blazes out here again today with that storm that came through last night and the next one coming through in, well, probably another 15 minutes or so. The humidity is really, really high. Those of you down in Florida, I was down there not all that long ago, and I can tell you this feels somewhat similar to that, and hats off to you guys for being able to live there. Forgot, I gotta lower the tractor. Okay, well, that's done. I'm probably a pound or two lighter with sweating. But anyways, I'm gonna probably take this flannel shirt off. I think I'm gonna put up with the bug bites and say heck with the shirt for now. One job's done, we're moving on to the next. And it's funny, as I sort of walk from one job to what I think is gonna be the next job, I bypass another issue. And that's sort of the reality around here. There's all kinds of stuff. And when you have stuff, you often have maintenance. And well, there's another tire that needs fixing, but I think that's going to be for another day, because one man can only take one tire in one day. What we're doing next, okay, right here behind you guys is the shop, and what we're going to do is we are going to have an electrician come out, and they're going to run an electrical circuit from the shop to the equipment shed so that I can have some lights in there, or at least an outlet if I have to do something like charge a battery, or who knows, maybe I want to have a corded tool of some sort, maybe even some lights, who knows. but I need to have a circuit run. And so what the electrician said to me is, you dig the trench and he'll run the circuit. I think he got the better deal there, not to mention I have to pay him, but regardless, I'm going to dig a trench. I'm going to dig it from approximately right here, and it's going to go under these rubber mats here. These rubber mats are what I use to keep the dirt down, keep the dust down. So I'm going to fold these back a little bit, start digging the trench, and the trench will go right about here, and the trench will go all the way up here, and it'll come into the shed somewhere in here. That's pretty much the plan. We just have to get it from A to B. If it has to go to that end or this end, you can run the wire once it's inside that shed. So that's what's next. I'm going to start by hand doing some of this, and then I'm going to show you something I've recently acquired that isn't exactly going to be useful for digging trench after trench after trench, but it's certainly going to be useful today when alternatively I'd have to hand dig it. I'll show you that in just a minute. Before that, let's start digging. I guess we'll make the best of it on this hot day. And if it starts raining, well, that's a great excuse to quit. Here we go. This stuff's heavy. I got a video on this if you want to know what it is. This is old conveyor belt from quarries. Well guys, it's certainly not getting any cooler out here, and so I'm going to make this quick and show you exactly what I'm about to use in order to put this trench in. The trench I'm talking about is from my shop to this equipment shed, and what it is what's shown on my right here. This essentially looks like an ice auger bit for those of you in the northern climates, but this actually will drill into the earth. So this is somewhat like you might see on the 3-point hitch of a tractor, maybe on the front end of a skid steer. This is going to help me put a hole in the earth in order to get my trench dug. Now, I typically would be using this for putting in things like posts, but in this case, what's the difference between a trench and a post hole? Well, in my opinion, it's just having those post holes side by side. That's exactly what we're going to do here with this. Now, in order to get this thing spinning, the Lewis multi-drill from the Lewis Winch Company is the tool that I'm using. So they provided this here on the right, and in addition, this right here, which attaches to my chainsaw. This blue thing is my chainsaw, which you guys would have seen before if you've been around the channel. This is a Husqvarna G660. This is a 92cc chainsaw. It's probably quite big and probably not necessary in order to put the holes in the earth with the Lewis multi-drill, but I think, what the heck, it's probably going to make things just that much more exciting. At least I hope it's going to be exciting in a good way, because I haven't used this before. Attached to this chainsaw here is the actual Lewis multi-drill. This is the direct drive model. So if you guys sort of have a look there, you'll notice, you see the black piece there in the middle in between the chainsaw and the Lewis multi-drive? That's the actual direct drive. So it's going directly off the crankshaft from the chainsaw into the gear case for the multi-drill, and it's going to spin this guy down below, which I'll have the auger attached to. So I'm going to fire this thing up here in just a minute. I have never used this thing before. You will see me use it for the first time. I can tell you one thing, it feels like it's well built. I can tell you this chainsaw's got tons of power, so fingers crossed, the old multi-drill there works as well as I think it will. At the very least, it should be a heck of a lot better than breaking my back here, digging this hole or trench by hand. Here we go. And so from that very tip here, all the way to the top collar there on the multi-drill, you're at 38 inches. And so for me, that's going to be plenty because I'm only going down about 2 feet. Now I'm going to go basically to that flat piece there. You're going to see me go right to the top of the spiral piece. That'll be 2 feet. You can get an extension for this as well if you need to go deeper, which obviously would be the case if you're putting in holes for, say, concrete footings, or maybe you want your post to go below the frost line like here, where frost line is give or take around 48 inches. So anyways, without further ado, let's fire this thing up. Fingers crossed it works well. I'm sure it will. It seems like it will. And yeah, we'll see how this operator can do. tell you, that saw has a ton of torque, and I really didn't have to get on it at all, and you guys could see where I was hitting the throttle a little more than probably I needed to, and it wanted to just go. This is a great tool from a first use perspective. I thought it was going to throw me a lot more, but definitely it's well balanced with that direct drive mount. So overall, happy with it. Figure why not put a few more holes in. The only problem with using this for trenching, as you can tell, I'm filling the holes again with the holes I just did. So I didn't really think about that. This thing definitely has torque out the wazoo, and I'm very happy with it. I don't know if this is something that you might want to put a smaller chainsaw on, but I can tell you, putting an 8-inch hole with a 660 with a 92-inch saw is certainly a lot of fun. Well guys, just having a quick look at the holes we just put in, I'd say that thing worked pretty well. We had a variety of different soil types here. Down at the far end, we had some sandy soil. Somewhere in the middle, we had a mixture of some loam, sand, and down on the bottom seemed like a touch of clay. Down at this end, you would have seen me encounter a few roots, and despite the fact that roots can really send you for a loop, if you hit one, the good thing with that setup is the clutch on the chainsaw slips. And so as soon as that auger encounters that resistance, it slips on the clutch, and so you don't go for a bit of a fly there. Anyways, that worked out really well. That certainly beats hand digging. And I would say if you have to do this day in and day out, and what I mean is put in trenches, you'd probably have a trencher. But in this case, I like to be resourceful more so than anything else, and this is what I had available to me, and this beat hand digging, so that's what I used. Anyways, let's just have a quick look at it, and we'll see how we made out here. You guys can see some of the roots we encountered down at the bottom. Cut into things pretty well. I definitely didn't feel like the auger was struggling to get into the ground. That's probably mostly due to the 92 cc's of G660. You guys can see there, chainsaw worked really well. I was just feathering the throttle most of the time. This right here, the Lewis multi-drill, it seems like it's a good unit that is easy to handle. I didn't feel like it was going to get away from me at any point, and I think that's usually the telltale sign whether I'd be happy to use it again or not. So definitely going to be using this again. If I had a different auger size, maybe I'd use it for a different application. Maybe a bit smaller, I'd use it for steel posts. Maybe a bit smaller, I'd plant some trees with it. And for this bigger size, I'd probably use it less so for putting in holes one after one like this, more so for putting fence posts in the ground, you know, the big cedar ones. So that's probably where you'll see this being used in the future. Maybe I'll get an extension on here to make it a little bit longer, but definitely something that I enjoy using more so than enjoy using a hand shovel. Anyways, we're going to leave this as this is. I'm going to get the tractor with the bucket, finish this off. If nothing else, what I've done is I've got down to the level I need to. I worked up some of the soil, and I made sure that the bucket can come in and sort of dig out the rest with ease. Anyways, let's get down to it. Well, we got a bit more accomplished there, guys. I wouldn't say we did anything groundbreaking there. At least we didn't break the tractor. I guess that's the main thing. I'm trying not to do too much torquing on the loader here. You guys who own a tractor probably are aware you don't want to hook onto anything solid in there and then try to curl or back drag with the bucket. You might end up doing some damage to the loader, and so I'm not really torquing on it here. I'm just sort of scraping out some of the loose stuff. As you can see, we got a decent trench in place. Obviously, having the right equipment would be ideal. For me, having that multi-drill there on the chainsaw, that really helped to get the depth. And then I think instead of bringing the tractor in immediately in order to get all the dirt in between the holes, I think if I would have come through and sort of hand done some of the dirt, then I think that would have made it easier and just use the tractor for cleanup. Anyways, if you guys have access to an excavator or a backhoe on the tractor or a trenching machine, I can tell you that would be the way to go. Having a bucket without any sort of tooth bar on the bottom there, well, it doesn't dig too well, and it's certainly not going to win you any awards for trench digging. So I'm going to leave that for picking up loose material, maybe fixing the driveway and stuff like that, loading logs. For stuff like this, well, I'd probably have to get another tool if I was going to be doing this day in and day out. Anyways, guys, I can tell you one thing. I still hate digging trenches. It's still hot out. The bugs are still biting. And I got a to-do list that's pretty much a mile long, so I'm going to get back to it. Guys, I appreciate you watching. If you're brand new here, welcome. If you're not brand new here, welcome back. Come on back next time. We're going to be putting a ramp up to that equipment shed, and hopefully you guys tune in for that. We'll see all you guys next time.